what happened to you that you can flip the narrative through healing and say, this happened for me. All of your life's circumstances and challenges have uniquely shaped you and positioned you for your purpose, for what you are meant to live, for what you are meant to be the embodiment of. For those of us who feel like we've lived our whole lives surviving, okay, well, what did you survive? And how did you survive? Because there is a story in there. We are all alchemizers. We all have the ability to forge purpose in the fire, but we have to allow it, and we have to go into the depths of ourselves, and we have to face ourselves, and we have to be honest with ourselves about the things we're not being honest about. Where can you be honest? What is the most honest expression of you here and now?
But you're awakening already, right? It's already happening. That's why you're here and why you're listening.
Nothing is broken in your world. Nothing needs to be changed. Nothing needs to be different. And yet everything is constantly changing because it is the inevitable nature of that which is eternal.
What I've come to realize in this endless searching for answers is that there really are none.
If you spend your whole life trying to get your act together, then what do you have? You have an act, right? Instead of a life.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Figuring Shit Out. My name is Vanessa Fontana, and if you're new here, Figuring Shit Out is a space for brave, bold, intentional living designed to help you embrace courageously what you have figured out, to normalize conversation around what we haven't figured out, and to softly surrender to the things we may never figure out. Welcome to the podcast, or welcome back if you are a frequent listener. Thank you so much for tuning in every week. Thank you for commenting on the episodes. It really helps the engagement. It really helps me to see the other people at the end of this. Thank you for rating the podcast on your preferred streaming platform. If you haven't already, make sure you go and do that, especially if you love figuring shit out. It's a beautiful way to engage in an energy exchange between me showing up every week and you maybe just rating or commenting on the podcast. Thank you so much for joining today's conversation. I knew that when I saw this beautiful snowscape, I had to record in it. And to be honest, today, I didn't really feel like I had too much to say other than what was honest and true for me, which I feel sometimes is hard to come onto the podcast with. I think that figuring shit out has evolved so much, and one piece of figuring shit out will always remain true, no matter how much I don't want to face it or address it, which is normalizing conversation around confusion, normalizing conversation around the shit that we are all figuring out. There are so many prescriptive podcasts. There are so many prescriptive things online. Do this to achieve this. Go here to do that. And this last season of Figuring Shit Out, season 4, the season of being and becoming, has been in a lot of ways prescriptive. It's been, how do you actually actualize the dreams that you have while being fully experienced in them? As I go on my journey of pursuing my purpose, how can I use that as a way to model an example for everyone who has a creative dream within them? You know, I admitted this on my last episode. I feel that there are times it's very clear I've lost the plot, and that we have lost the plot as a society and as a whole. And I think a lot of this has to do with the commotion online. I don't know about you, but personally, whenever I see all of these videos of 25-year-old millionaires and 25-year-old people who create $100,000 in their sleep when they're gallivanting at the beach, there feels to be something in me that goes, am I doing something wrong? Have I radically missed something? Why can't I do that? And it's so funny because it's like, we only get such a small view into people's life, people's experience, and we kind of just have to take the persona that people present themselves online to be the truth. And I'm not saying that it's not the truth. I'm not discrediting any of that. I think there's a lot of really beautiful lessons to learn from that type of content, that type of prescripted content. But I think that it does have an agenda of making the regular consumer feel small, making them feel like there's something wrong with them, making them feel like they should be paying attention to something else instead of perhaps what is calling them from within. And if this show is anything, it is a constant reclamation of truth. It is a constant reclamation of honesty. It is a constant reclamation of something real and tangible in this world of so much noise. That is my intention. Time and time again, it is why I created this show. It is what I will always come back to. And if you've been listening and tuning in, you know that I've been on this journey in the last year of my life. I quit my full-time job in tech, which was an industry that I really didn't want to be in. It was just very high paying and also very safe. And I took my road less traveled, and I've shared a lot about that experience of quitting my job to pursue a podcast full time, of going to Bali, doing yoga teacher training, becoming a breathwork and meditation guide in New York City, taking a totally different route, changing my life, building a business, hosting a community, hosting programs for you, my audience, and learning really what that means for me, figuring out what I really want to do with this creative, beautiful masterpiece that I've found myself in of the world of figuring shit out. And in my last episode, I shared that this road less traveled has not really been all it's cracked up to be, that there have been a lot of challenges along the way and a lot of challenges around how do you make your creative life your living and still remain creative and not go into a place of survival because all of a sudden, oh wow, you need to make money, you need to pay rent. And I shared in that episode that the financial aspect of taking a road less traveled has really been something that I've been figuring out. I went from receiving income at a W-2 salaried job to creating my own income and almost putting the same framework of work so hard, chain yourself to a desk into my creative work because that was the only way I knew how to work. And so this last year of my life has been learning how to redefine work, how to redefine creating something from a place of creation and not survival, and also really facing myself in the question of, is this the best path for my purpose right now? That's a question that I've been asking myself lately because I so deeply cherish this space. I so deeply cherish this purpose of mine to communicate these ideas, to communicate these philosophies, to communicate these depths of life to an audience of people who are looking for something honest, who are looking for something that awakens them deeper to the truth of who they are. I value it so much. And I think it's really easy to lose the plot when you have to make that you're living. So I've really been sitting with all of this, and there's going to be news to come. All I can really share right now is that as long as I am showing up every week to create something that is from my heart, and that is not a pretending to be something that I'm not, then I'm doing something right. And as long as I am listening to the calls of my heart and the calls of my spirit, then I am doing something right. And I want to share with you today a piece that I wrote about purpose, about comparison, about how it is so easy for us to lose the plot of our lives because we're looking at other people online thinking that we should be somewhere and we should look a certain way and we should have certain things, when really the only thing that we should be doing is listening to ourselves and facing ourselves. And there is so much prescriptive content about how to this, how to that. And the message that I have here for you today is that it's never going to come with more learning. It's never going to come with more seeking. It's never going to come with more investing in the parasocial relationships with your favorite podcast hosts or people online who, although they might bring you comfort, and I am so grateful to get the experience of bringing other people comfort in their confusion, that the deepest truth that you will ever find, the most solace, the most comfort you'll ever find is within the depths of yourself. And unfortunately, we do have to face the things we don't want to face in order to receive that, in order to know what our purpose is, and in order to follow it honestly. And this episode really is a reclamation of my purpose in this world, to create and to do it devotionally, as long as I am being honest with myself and being honest with you and translating it into something that feels palpable and that feels a little beautiful. Then I know that I'm doing something right. And as long as I'm following the little call in my heart and cherishing the inner child, the good idea fairy that gives me the ideas to continue following the breadcrumbs and seeing what happens next, then I'm doing something right. And I wanted to update you guys, because if you've been following along, you know that I went to Santa Fe last week to go see Julia Cameron live. She released a new book after her years of popularizing the artist's way. And this book was something that she was using to give a talk at a little coffee shop. I saw that she was speaking. I knew I had to go. I knew I had to go meet her and tell her thank you and invite her onto the podcast. And that experience was so special for so many reasons. I'm still unpacking it. I'm still really sitting with it. And on the next episode, I will really dive into what I learned and what happened. But I just wanted to give you guys a little update on the progress of it. I did ask Julia to come onto the podcast. I ended up getting her publisher's contact information, and they told me to send an email and to reach out. So I didn't really get a direct answer on if she'd come on the podcast or not, but I did get to tell her thank you. I did get to look her in the eyes and tell her that her work has changed my life, and I got to hear from her a really beautiful "you're very welcome," one that I knew she meant, and one that felt really deeply nourishing to my soul. And the experience was just so beautiful. So I have a lot to share. You can follow along on my Instagram, where I'll be posting little updates of the trip and kind of just my understanding of what it meant to me to go out there and to do that and to say yes to myself, and also to risk the fact that I wasn't going to get her on my podcast, because she is old. She's one of the biggest authors in the world, and she has a whole team of people who make decisions for her. So it wasn't as easy as just having a conversation with her. The conversation that I had with her was also at a book signing. So it was just one person after another, and she had like a whole team of people around her. So it's not like I really got to sit down and have a chat, but I am glad that I went, and I knew that all of that was a possibility, and I knew that I didn't want to let that stop me from going. So updates will come. I'm going to debrief my entire experience, what I saw in Santa Fe, what I felt in Santa Fe, why I feel like I really was meant to go and do that generally. And who knows, maybe she will still come on the podcast, but basically I don't have an answer for you, because they just told me to send an email. I did, and now I'm patiently waiting. So if Julia is meant to be on Figuring Shit Out, I have no doubt that she will be, now or later, and that's really all I know. Following the little breadcrumbs and listening to the inner voice is something that you will never regret. And now I'm going to read something that I wrote about this comparison, about this purpose, about what I think many of us need a reminder for, and what I needed a reminder for today when I sat down to write. This is just what poured out of me, and it is called, "Am I the Only One Who Feels Like I'm Missing Something?" I have something that I know is a true gift. Something that I used to search far and wide for, something that I know many people search far and wide for. And that is the knowing of my purpose. Not my purpose, because everyone has one, but the knowing of it. The search for it began at a young age. I took a long look around me and saw piles of destruction cast from an unhealed lineage and explosions of chaos. Two parents at war with each other over visceral volatility, substance abuse to escape, screaming and fighting and separation in more ways than I could count, at the expense of two children who would grow up to know better because of it. And I knew deep within me, as early as 5 years old, that all of that chaos had to be for something. I knew deep within me that it wasn't normal, and I knew deep within me that I was the one who was meant to break the cycle, to create peace where there was none, to alchemize fire. That was my gift. Growing up, I held a candle of hope out in front of me to light the way. I held a dream out in front of me, a land of freedom from this destruction, a place of peace that I could create for myself, a space of solace where I could just be. I used to be attached to my story of trauma, using it as self-preservation to let the world know that it could never hurt me as bad as the world that shaped me, using it as a shield and wearing it like a badge of honor. In some way, I felt like it gave me depth. It built my character. It was a story I could tell where the conclusion ended with, "and I survived." But I realized that this was a maladaptive way of keeping me in survival, fighting a battle that no longer existed. So I chose peace. I created solace. I found a place where I could hold myself up and hold the inner child within me with the care she always longed for. And I let go of the badge of honor that came with the story of me and my pain, even if it ended with a light at the end of the tunnel. But life has seemed to be a winding evolution of unearthing that purpose in the depths of its honesty time and time again. And where honesty lives, usually so does all that we're not admitting to ourselves, and therefore our pain. My purpose in its most simple form is to embrace all these life experiences, good, bad, ugly, in the deepest way and create something beautiful from them, to transmute pain and capture glory through these words I so effortlessly craft, to use the voice that felt silenced for so many years and to reclaim it in its entirety, to know contrast so deeply, to be without so that I can live within. And to live without regret, for these life bruises created the strongest bones and the most poignant spark forward. I believe that we all have a gift. I believe that we all have a purpose. I believe that it is buried within the places that we don't want to look. It is entangled in the masterpieces of destruction. It is the diamond in the roughest moments of life. It is forged in the fire of standing tall as you face yourself, no longer running away. Coming back to this knowing, I see how easy it is to lose this depth, this honesty, and chase after something golden. In this age of endless self-help prescriptions from talking heads on the internet, how can you not feel like you've missed something? No matter who you are or where you've come from or what you know your purpose to be, there is certainly someone on the internet who's come from worse and has more, who perhaps you've witnessed and had the internal monologue of, what do they have that I don't? I took a leap of faith last year to pursue my purpose full time. And in that pursuit, there are times where I feel like I've radically lost the plot, like I've missed something, like there's something wrong with me because I'm not one of the 25-year-olds who's figured out how to make $1 million passively in their sleep while gallivanting at the beach. We live in an age where we think we're healing something when really we're just pretending, we're prescribing. We do what the person we look up to online does and tell ourselves we'll be better for it because this parasocial relationship is truer than any of the others in our lives. We meditate, we journal, we think we're facing it. But really, many of us are still running. We are exposed to a plethora of people who've experienced wild success at a young age who tell you online that the reason you haven't experienced that same success is your fault. And it's not like they're necessarily wrong, but this is built to get you to believe that there's something wrong with you so that you believe that they have the answers you can't find on your own. These are illusions meant to distort our inner compass and seep us into comparison, to keep you running towards something that isn't your own. When we pull at the seams of this comparison, when we look online at all of the people doing what we may want to do so effortlessly, we forget ourselves. We forget our purpose. We forget that we have one. We forget that our unique gifts and our unique life experiences and the honesty that is so palpable within them is ours. Comparison does not just steal joy from you. It steals your inner knowing, your presence, your direction, the thread of your purpose from you. Comparison is not about wanting what someone else has as much as it is forgetting what is already inside of you. The stories, the passion, the fire, the lived experiences, good, bad, ugly, that awaken the remembrance of who you are. No one else has lived the life you've lived through your precious eyes. And for that reason, the unique purpose that you have, the gifts that you have, are buried within the threads you've been weaving your whole life, not in the framework of someone else's. The moment you start measuring your life against someone else's, you've severed the threads that lead you inward. And if you don't know your purpose, go into the places that you want to run from. Look there, because if you run around telling yourself the lie that you don't have a purpose, you must be honest. Is that because you're running from what makes you who you are, from what has made you who you are? Is that because you refuse to journey into the places that feel too dark to enter? Is that because you're hoping that someone else has the answers for you? Is it because you reject what your purpose might be, that perhaps it may be simpler than all you've believed it to be or should be? Knowing your purpose is only half of the equation. Staying true to yourself in it is the other half. And life will always grant you experiences to reawaken that ember. But it is the wrong fires that you breathe into that wind up burning you. So if you don't know where to start, I ask you one simple question. Where can you be honest? I think that the reason that so many of us struggle to find our purpose, or so many of us struggle to actualize our purpose, is because we're doing what we think we should be doing, and we're doing what is laid out for us. We're looking at someone as the model, as the example, and saying, I want that, without really looking for what it is we are called for what we are called to do. When we make it simple, where can you be honest? What is the most honest expression of you here and now? It becomes so much easier to see what we're hiding from and what we're running from. And then it becomes so much easier to see that buried within what we're hiding from and what we're running from happens to be our purpose. I talk about this sometimes, not in the depth of its entirety, but I come from a household that I know made me who I am. And it was painful. And my parents have listened to this podcast and felt offended, felt upset, felt hurt that I have decided to share that on the internet. But it is my truth. And who would I be to hide my truth, hide the truth that I do come from a fucked up childhood, right? No one gets out unscathed. And that has made me capable and able of seeing honesty in this world in its truest and most deep form, because I saw the harshness of life so young. And I tell that story not for pity or as an anecdote or, like I wrote, to add depth or mystery or character. I tell it because the things that have happened to you, that feel like they've happened to you, the challenges that you're facing right now, the fear that you have, the confusion that you have of what is my purpose? How do I follow it? What do I do? What's next? All of your life's circumstances and challenges have uniquely shaped you and positioned you for your purpose. Have uniquely shaped you and positioned you for what you are meant to live in this world, for what you are meant to be the embodiment of. And so for those of us who feel like we've lived our whole lives surviving, okay, well, what did you survive? And how did you survive? Because there is a story in there, and there is something in there that is honest and that is true, and that reflects the deepest part of human nature. What does what you survived make you want to do in this world? What does it make you never want to do? And that's where we should be looking, not what's going to get me to X amount of followers or quitting my job so that I can be this person on the internet. No. You've lost the plot if you've made it about the outcome and you've made it about something outside of you. And it doesn't mean that we can't have goals, but the goals have to be reflective of that honest and deeper nature. And take it from someone, who knows my purpose. I know that my purpose is to take the pain and to transmute it into words and to give something greater from it, to be the alchemizer of these experiences with communication and through building community and through bringing people together. I know that that is my purpose. And yet I seem to continuously lose the plot because I've made my purpose about something else. I've made my purpose about how do I make a business out of that? And when you start to question how to turn something so honest and true into something that continuously you have to get something from, it will get warped. And I admittedly have not figured out how to do both in a way that's fully sustainable and fully gratifying, because there always feels like there's some sacrifice made in order to get to that other side. And that is honestly, truly what I am figuring out right now, and what I'm in the process of understanding more deeply is, how do I radically pursue this purpose as honestly as I can? And what is the most honest reflection of that, rather than how do I make my life about building a business or being a business owner? They're two separate things. And when we merge them together, it can get really confusing. And I've really found that. So if there are any other creators, entrepreneurs, people who have, made their purpose their life's work and have asked it to provide for them income, feel free to reach out. Let me know what your experience is like. Let me know what you're going through. If you have any questions or curiosities about this journey that I've been on, I'm so happy to talk more in depth about that. Just leave a comment. Let me know what you want to hear more about. But feel free to reach out over Instagram if this is like resonating with you, because I know that this is a journey that so many of us go on. But at the same time, everyone is on their own individual path. Everyone is on their own individual journey, and it's going to look different for everyone. And so if you have happened to find yourself saying, oh, this person has this thing, but they came from this, or but they did that, or but they had these privileges, they have the life I want, but I can't have it because they have something else. I want to add a nuance to the conversation here around that being just an excuse. That's just an excuse. That's what we hear, right? We hear if you're not living your dream life, it's because you're limited, and it's because you haven't faced enough within yourself, and because you haven't broken down the barriers. True, all true. But there's nuance to this, because your path isn't going to look like everyone else's path. Maybe you're not at the point where you can hold that level of expansion, because there are still things in you that are asking to be healed and to be met with and to be accepted. And that is why I urge you to go into the places that you're not looking, go into the places that you want to run from, go into the depths of that inner child, the shadow work. What happened to you that you can flip the narrative through healing and say, this happened for me. I was given this beautiful life experience, this contrast. I was met with these privileges and these struggles because I am uniquely positioned to hold them, to transmute them, to allow from them something to come through me. Everyone has a gift. Every single person has something that they are here to do, here to create. We are creators. We are meant to allow life to pour through us and allow something beautiful to come out on the other end. We are all alchemizers. We all have the ability to forge purpose in the fire of what happened to us. But we have to allow it, and we have to go into the depths of ourselves, and we have to face ourselves, and we have to be honest with ourselves about the things we're not being honest about. And I almost feel like I use this podcast time and time again as my anchor point of honesty to say, hey guys, I'm holding myself accountable. I've lost the plot. And how many times have I done that in the last 30 or 40 episodes? I don't know, but I'm going to continue doing it because I'm going to continue coming back to the purpose of this show, which is a mirror for self-discovery. As I look into it, as I see myself living through it, honestly or unhonestly, I see what needs to be faced. I express it. I come on here and I tell you about it. And through that, you do what you will with it. There is no other purpose. There is no other explanation. There is no outcome. There is no hope or wish other than that you take this and it resonates and that the people who need it find it. But at the end of the day, you have to trust and you have to know that you're not doing something wrong if you don't have the game plan, or you don't have the keys to the kingdom, or you don't have the knowledge of what's next, or you don't know how to achieve the things that you want to achieve. There is nothing wrong with you. And I think that pervasively we are being sold online that there is, so that we can buy something from other people that tell us more about ourselves, that honestly, the only truth that we need is within us. And it's okay to not know what you want to do. It's okay to not know what your purpose is. It's okay to not know if you even have one. All of that is okay. But I'm here to remind you that you do have one. You do have one, because you are uniquely positioned in this life. If you're listening to this podcast, I know that you do. I know that you do, because this podcast is meant to awaken something deeper in you, and whatever is deeper in you is asking you to listen to it. And so it starts with being honest with yourself. It doesn't start with the game plan to make $40,000 a month and live on the beach. It doesn't start there. That might be where it ends. That might be where it ends, but it doesn't start there. It always starts somewhere much more honest. And I've found time and time again that when I do things out of the need for an outcome, the need for urgency on the other end to complete something, It always winds me up in the same place, whether I'm in corporate, whether I'm pursuing my creative dreams, whether I'm traveling the world, whether I'm not. It always ends me in the same place, which is taking a long, hard look at myself and going, this isn't what's true to you. This is about something much deeper, much greater. And you've made it earthly. You've made it about possession. You've made it about something tangible when what you're doing is inherently intangible. If this episode resonated with you and you're looking for where to start on your journey of looking inward, going into the places that you don't want to go into in order to excavate the parts of you that might hold your purpose, I recommend my shadow work and inner child healing episodes. These are some of the most listened to of Figuring Shit Out for the reason of they've helped people to go inward and go into those dark places. And it's a really great way to have your hand held as you do that. So I will link those down below if you're interested in a place to start with these things. And I would also love to, if it's of interest to you and you feel called to it, invite you to my Costa Rica retreat in March of 2026. It's going to be a bunch of women in the forest, in the jungle, helping each other heal. And that is my intention for it. It's going to be a inner child and creativity retreat. I've talked about it before on the podcast. I'll link all the information below. You have until December 22nd to book. There are still spots left, but they are running out quickly. I am so excited for this retreat. I know it's going to be a beautiful time of communion and connection and, again, honesty. So many of the things that we explore in this podcast, I want to create space for people to explore in themselves at this retreat, in this beautiful village, in this beautiful space, in this beautiful retreat center. We're going to be doing workshops. We're going to be hiking mountains. We're going to be horseback riding. We're going to have a local guide who will take us everywhere as I facilitate these experiences within you. And I feel uniquely positioned to do this through the last year of my life. What I come to time and time and time again, even if I don't know how it's supposed to work out, is that I know that this is what I'm meant to be doing. And I know that this is part of my purpose. And I know that life has uniquely positioned me to be able to hold this space. And so I do, and I take it with honor. So if you're interested in coming to Costa Rica, please explore that interest. Reach out to me. I'm happy to have a conversation with you. No pressure. And we can just talk about it and see if it feels right. But I'm really excited for it. You guys will be in tune every step of the way with what's next for me in my life, with my evolution of figuring shit out. I thank you so much for showing up every week and sharing your life experience with my life experience and letting those merge. It just means the absolute world to me that you listen. So thank you so, so much. If this episode resonated with you, please leave a comment and let me know how and why and what struck for you the most. I am so grateful for this space to be able to unravel myself and to sit in the snow and to just record. It's just actually such a blessing. And lastly, remember, if you spend your whole life trying to get your act together, you don't have a life, you have an act. So go and live your fucking life. I love you so much, and I'll see you next week.
You got to look for the redeeming feature. You got to look for things to appreciate. You got to find a reason to make it okay where you are. No, I've got to strive and struggle and try. That's what I've been taught. Growth and expansion is my quest. No, that's inevitable. Whether it comes easy or hard is the question.
The horrible truth is that it's an inside job. That if you're going to get that love and that respect that you've just that union starts inside.
To every experience of growth, there is an equal and an opposite. And that equal and an opposite is what drives you to that light. So you have to start inwards. You have to start first within yourself.